It's been dubbed one of the most confusing seasons, right, of all time. I want to check out what the Warriors did on Saturday against the Milwaukee Bucks just to illustrate this further. I'm going to pick this up, though, Ramona, with under 2 minutes to go in the fourth. The Warriors down by 8 at this point. It was the Steph Curry show, right? Passes to Draymond Green here, gets it back in the corner. Tough shot. Drew Holiday defending him pretty well. Pretty good.
I mean, he's right in his face.
Right, and then Steph going the other way once again, lays it in, cuts the lead, and now we have a tie game. 22 seconds here. Steph going to work over Javon Carter. Splash from 24 feet. The Warriors take a 1-point lead, and Steph is letting the people at home know. And then Drew Holiday, who has been excellent for the Milwaukee Bucks. Not here, though. Steph Curry gets the game sealing or regulation, rather, sealing play, and we are headed to overtime. And this is when I wondered, Ramona, are the Warriors going to be tired? They exuded so much gas trying to get back in this one. Nope. Steph Curry lays that one in.
At home.
They took over in overtime.
Yeah, 13 points in the fourth quarter, 11 during that stretch. I mean, you underestimate Steph Curry and how great he is because he has done this so many times in the past.
Well, and I should mention that there was no Giannis Antetokounmpo in this one, but still, the Warriors' home dominance, it's continued, right? They've improved to 28-7. That's currently tied for 4th in the league. And then on the other hand, their 7-26 road record. Get this. It is tied for 3rd worst in the league. 3rd worst. So that is an incredible split. And what's mind-boggling to me is it's not like we're talking about, oh, this is when Andrew Wiggins, who's an excellent defender, plays and when he doesn't play. It's the same personnel. And I'm speaking about it in this tone because I'm from there and it hurts. So, Ramona, what is the biggest difference for the defending champs when they're playing at home?
It's defense. They're 28th.
But why?
It's wow.
I don't understand.
No, okay, first of all, it's perimeter defense, right? If you don't have the point of attack covered, then it doesn't matter how well Draymond Green or Kevon Looney can rotate behind if your perimeter defense is not there. And that's talking about even Klay Thompson. That's like Jordan Poole, like on the perimeter, they are leaky and they're 28th in defense on the road, guys. So when you say you're 28th, that means there's only 2 teams that are worse than you, 29th and 30th. There's a lot of teams.
Look at that. I don't understand.
So when we talk about point of attack defense,
trying to win.
The Warriors' defense on the perimeter is atrocious on the road.
Yeah.
And that is just commitment to competition. That's what Draymond Green was trying to call out a couple of weeks ago when he looked into the cameras. And you know when you do one of those press conferences where you just barely ask one question and the guy just has a message to deliver?
Yeah.
Draymond has been trying to say this all year long. It's not having any effect yet. It's just not.
I have to wonder, Monica, at this point, is there some, because usually when I can't figure something out, I go to our researcher, Michael Schwartz, and I say, what's happening? Give me the numbers. He's even said there's no numbers that make sense of any of this. I have to wonder, is it a mental block at this point? How do you evaluate all this?
Well, it's interesting, Malika, because last week, Becky Hammond said when we were all together on International Women's Day, she called it a professionalism thing. And that has kind of sat with me since she said it, because at the root of it, the commitment to defense is a want to. It's a will to. It's a communication. And for a team to be so drastically different at home and on the road, it's getting up here at this point, right? Now, the one number that I will go to in terms of the road and home difference is rebounding. Typically, they are out-rebounded on the road. As a team that shoots a ton of threes, often those are long rebounds. That's essentially a run-out pass to allow a team to get out in transition, and the other team is rolling offensively. So that's the one area. Okay, if you're not going to lock up, so to speak, on the perimeter at the point of attack that Ramona mentioned, well, maybe if you eliminate some second-chance points and end possessions by getting defensive rebounds, or even find your way to easier baskets with offensive rebounds, could that be an area that could help turn the tide? But I'm going to introduce this vocabulary word. I am completely befuddled by this Warriors squad.
Welcome back to NBA Today. Brandon Miller and Alabama won the SEC tournament yesterday and secured the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. But in February, a Tuscaloosa police investigator testified that former Alabama player Darius Miles texted Miller to bring him his gun on the night of a shooting that killed 23-year-old Jamia Harris. Now, Miles was indicted on capital murder charges, but Miller has not been charged with any crimes. And this is almost certainly something that NBA teams, they're going to take into account, right? Miller is currently 3rd in the latest NBA mock draft, according to Jonathan Givony, and Miller is only behind Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson. So I want to bring in the aforementioned Jonathan Givony and our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, and I want to dive a little bit more into Brandon Miller here. I want to stick with him on the court, though. What makes him such an intriguing prospect here?
Well, Malika, he's what every NBA team is looking for right now. 6'9", can handle the ball, can pass, can shoot, versatile defensively, SEC Player of the Year, first-team All-American, led his team to a tremendous season, trying to make their first Final Four ever here for Alabama. And this is what teams are all in the market for right now, this type of player who can do a little bit of everything on both ends of the floor. Yeah,
when you're listing off his resume, right, it seems like a no-brainer. But, Woj, how are teams balancing his very real off-the-court legal issues and his apparent on-court abilities?
Yeah, Malika, I think if his story and his attorney's story stands up, that there are no charges brought and there's no sense there's any investigation going on that would lead to charges with him, that he didn't know he was transporting a gun in the back seat. It was concealed under some clothing and didn't realize what he was bringing the car back over to Miles for. I think right now he stands up. He's a player you can draft where you want to take him. And right now you talk to teams, only one team's going to pick second, and only one team is going to have this decision to make after Victor Wembanyama goes number one. But I think there is a lot of sentiment around the league and of teams and potentially in the lottery, that Brandon Miller has risen up the charts and may have overtaken Scoot Henderson. Just the potential with him is just, and the kind of upside, as Jonathan mentioned, he is exactly the prototype of the modern NBA wing star that every team wants to have, feels like they need to have to win championships.
You said overtake Scoot, and my ears kind of perked up. How high could he go, Jonathan?
NBA teams are telling me that he's firmly in the mix at number 2.
Interesting.
They have been a little bit mixed on Scoot Henderson this season. His decision-making hasn't evolved quite the way that they were hoping. His defense has been just okay. And he hasn't been an every-game player for G League Ignite. Sometimes he plays, sometimes he doesn't. The college basketball realm is much more comfortable for them to evaluate, and they see a guy who's a first-team All-American, SEC Player of the Year. They know what that means. Scoot Henderson, 6'2" guards, they're a little bit dime a dozen in today's NBA. 6'9", playmaking wing who can play pick and roll, who can go get his own shot, who can shoot off the dribble, who can guard, 2 through 4. That's hard to find.
6'9", playmaking wing. We actually have a tape that I'm hoping you can talk us through a little bit. Let's take a look at some of those plays, because this is fascinating what he's able to do here.
So you see the way he can push the ball off the defensive glass, and you see the vision that he's showing here. He's dribbling with his head up. He finds his open man off a live dribble. This is really unique for a guy who's 6'9", who can play power forward but has the skill set of a guard, and then he can go get his own too. You can give him the ball late in the clock. He's gotten much better with his shot creation ability throughout the season. Is the shot making here that you see, the step back dribble. Also the 2-point percentage has improved all year long. And then you see in the open floor, getting downhill with a head of steam. He's got some real explosiveness here. Not his best trait, but he can definitely get up with a runway.
So as we're talking about Scoot and as we're talking about Miller, is this more about one or the other moving up in teams and players' minds, or is it more someone that they're not seeing something out of Scoot here?
And I think, as Jonathan said, Brandon Miller is the prototype.
Yeah.
And a shorter combo guard, teams feel like they can find that. It is hard to replicate who Brandon Miller is. And you look around the NBA at, Paul George, Jason Tatum, those big, great wing forwards. That's what resonates with teams. Scoot Henderson is an outstanding prospect. Character-wise, he is off the charts, checks out.
Yeah.
But it's been a little bit of an inconsistent season for him in G League Ignite. And remember, you're splitting hairs when you're at 2 and 3. It doesn't mean Scoot Henderson is not still an outstanding NBA prospect. But this is what happens. Before the season, it looked like Wembanyama, Henderson 1-2, and then a season happens, and college basketball happens. And here's Brandon Miller on what's been the best team in the country, having just a remarkable season, and again, showing people at a high level against great competition. Now he's got a big runway in the NCAA tournament to further solidify himself. that's why this all is fluid from the preseason to now as we get closer to the June draft.
Absolutely.
Well, you're seeing this film that we just showed from the G League Ignite Metropolitans games in October. That version of Scoot Henderson is no question the number 2 pick in the draft. The problem is that we have not seen that version of him consistently this season. In terms of the turnovers, the decision making, the defensive intensity, it's been all over the place for NBA teams. They've been out to see him and they said, he hasn't shown that same fire that we saw from him in October when he was so mad at Victor that he just went right at his throat. If that version of Scoot Henderson is there all season, he is a number 2 pick in the draft, but he's opened the doorway here for Brandon Miller to rise and potentially be number 2 with a strong NCAA tournament showing.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.